Let me tell you what my deep research and basically vision is.
I hope there's Bigfoot. I don't think there is.
I'm not telling you nothing.
The aliens won't let it happen.
Happening now, breaking.
Bernie Sanders is angry.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
What are the tips? Give me some tips on how to work with Wes Anderson.
Be ready to speak very fast and very clearly, because that's definitely one key thing.
I will only tell the truth.
Until you and 6 kids you barely know in wet bathing suits have surrounded 9 chimpanzees outside of a Wendy's. You probably really don't know yourself, okay?
Yep. And we back.
Hello and welcome to In the Shed with Wes Anderson, episode 89, and our very first Tuesday morning politics edition of the broadcast, where instead of a long-form, deep-dive, 2-hour episode focusing on news in the world of politics, sports, and the paranormal, we just focus on politics on Tuesday. On Tuesday mornings, it's all politics. 3 big stories that you need to know. We hit it fast, we hit it hard, and we bid you adieu. Let's get into it. Story number 1 on this Tuesday: Trump administration has success on international stage. India and the U.S. agreed to a goal of increasing bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030. India prepares to take leading role in iPhone production as Apple continues their move away from China. Hamas frees American held in Gaza in deal after direct negotiation with the Trump administration. India and Pakistan reach ceasefire with American help. U.S. and U.K. reach trade deal to build on close ties, though some tariffs are still in place. And U.S. and China agree to temporarily slash tariffs in bid to defuse trade war. Alright, so there you go in the first story that you need to know. The Trump administration has success on international stage. I just gave you 5 articles from different news sources, left-leaning, center, to very conservative, about different negotiations that have gone well to varying degrees for President Trump and his administration just in the last 10 days. India and Pakistan have reached a ceasefire. India and the U.S. have increased their economic support of each other. Hamas has released the last living American hostage held. The U.S. and U.K. reach a trade deal, and U.S. and China reach one for the next 90 days as well. And the reason that you need to know this is because I'm not sure that the media is being honest with you. And when I say media, I don't mean those of us recording somewhat popular news shows in a shed in the backyard of our home in Alabama. I'm talking about the mainstream media. I'm talking about the legacy media. I'm talking about the newspapers, some people still read them, and cable news. Because the objective observer has to look at these 5 stories and say that to varying degrees, these are successes on the international stage for President Trump. They just are. And look, I've been critical of the guy. I've told you that he did not earn my vote, that I wish him well as I do every American president, because I want the leader of our country to be successful, because it means that we are successful. Donald Trump is no different than any other president in the sense that he does some things that are good. He does some things that are not good. But you have to call a spade a spade. You have to be fair. You have to be honest. When there's reasons to criticize, I will criticize. When there are successes, hey, I'm going to point them out. And as I said, to varying degrees, these are successes. Is it true that Donald Trump's management style is a bit chaotic? Yes. Is it fair to say that some of these problems he's now solving are solutions necessary because of the problems that he himself created? Hey, that's even fair to a degree as well. Yet it's still true that these are examples of successes that have happened in favor of America just in the last 10 days. The Trump administration has had success on the international stage, and you need to know about it. You need to understand it. There's details still to be worked out in these trade deals, things that need to be formalized, substantial debate on what level of success that Donald Trump and his cabinet have accomplished in each of these things. But hey, a free throw is worth points as well as a alley-oop and a three-point shot. Okay. And the main takeaway here is that we've scored some points. And that's the truth. Story number 2, an American Pope impossible no more. Chicago native Cardinal Robert Prevost elected and announced as Pope Leo XIV. So just a few days ago, we saw some white smoke pop out of the pristine Sistine Chapel, okay? It was smoky, it was white, and 1.4 billion Catholics across the world waited with bated breath to see who had been named as the new Pope, the leader of their church. Now understand, it has long been held as almost an impossibility for a Pope to be named who came from America. This is for many different reasons when it comes to the convergence of religion, culture, geopolitics, tradition, etc., etc., etc. But it's finally happened. A Pope that hails from the south side of Chicago. He's been spotted in a now viral video in the stands at a White Sox game. The man is long suffering. We know that. And the reason why I wanted to share this is not just because it affects 1.4 billion people across the globe. That's billion with a B. But also because of the reactions that I have seen almost instantaneously. Just as soon as it was announced, and before Pope Leo XIV had even opened his mouth, speaking Italian, to say a word, you had pundits and talking heads from the left and the right already staking their ground and making their claims online. The American left was excited to have an American Pope, citing old tweets that Leo XIV had sent deriding policies on immigration and speaking out against Donald Trump and now Vice President J.D. Vance. They claim that they now have their champion in the Catholic Church, finally somebody who can stand as an American Pope in direct opposition to the sitting president, as though that is the job of the Pope or even a concern of his. And the American right is not a whole lot better. They have laid claim to Leo as well, pointing out that he seems to have traditional theological stances on hot-button social issues such as being pro-life and his dealing with the LGBTQIA plus community. And what I'm going to ask you to do, what I'm going to beg you to do, we're covering news this morning, is to not be like the American left or the American right in this instance. The Pope does not belong to you, okay? It's not his job to stand in opposition to the U.S. president in all forms and fashions. It is not his job to be the champion of the American conservative movement. He's the head of the Catholic Church. What he's supposed to do is listen to the guidance of the Holy Spirit, work with the cardinals, bishops, priests, and nuns of that faith, and be a voice for the people that points them back to the goodness of God. And the truth is, how he does in that role is yet to be seen. His leadership is yet to be seen. Where he's going to fall on certain social issues as Pope is yet to be seen. TBD, American left. TBD, American right. We don't have to be outraged immediately at the election of the Pope. Instead, can't we just say, hey, it's pretty cool that the Pope is an American, that he comes from Chicago. Celebrate with our Catholic brothers and sisters and wait and see. Patience is a virtue. An American Pope impossible no more. Cardinal Robert Prevost, elected and announced as Pope Leo XIV. Story number 3, Trump executive order demands pharmaceutical industry slash drug prices. And this is a story that is being largely underplayed on the left, largely overplayed on the right, but yet is certainly a big deal. Because Donald Trump just did what Democratic politicians have said needed to be done for years. We pay astronomically higher drug prices in America for the exact same drugs as others do across the world. We are facing an epidemic of being over-medicated and over-prescribed in our society. We routinely get turned away from natural remedies. We're in the midst of a fentanyl crisis, and millions of Americans are in debt simply because of the cost of health care. So here Donald Trump actually takes action. He signs his 3,492nd or something executive order in the first 120 days of his presidency. And this is a good one. The aim of this one is nothing but positive. To demand that pharmaceutical industry slashes drug prices in America. And the specifics of the executive order are that for a certain drug, they would have to match the price that drug is sold for at its cheapest rate internationally in the developed world. This is a big deal. Now the left is underplaying it because they say just because he signed this, Big Pharma is going to take this to court. They're going to hold it up with legal action. They're going to put their lobbyists to work. Will it actually pass through Congress that is tragically divided? The right is overplaying it because the fact that he signed this doesn't change anything today, tomorrow, or in the next month, and yet it's a big deal. Because it's something. It's a step in the right direction. It's an attempt at justice. And this is something that we all should be for. It doesn't matter if you're left, right, in the middle, if you're conservative, liberal, Republican, Democrat, or an Alabama Crimson Tide fan, okay? You should be for this. This is something that would benefit us as Americans. For too long, we have been taken advantage of by the pharmaceutical industry, and it's time for it to stop. Listen to what RFK Jr. had to say at the press conference after President Trump signed this executive order.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is an extraordinary day. This is an issue that, I grew up in the Democratic Party, and every major Democratic leader for 20 years has been making this promise to the American people. This was the fulcrum of Bernie Sanders' runs for presidency, that he was going to eliminate this discrepancy between Europe and the United States. But as it turns out, none of them were doing it. It's one of these promises that politicians make to their constituents, knowing that they'll never have to do it. And the reason they'll never have to do it is because they know that Congress is controlled in so many ways by the pharmaceutical industry. There's at least one pharmaceutical lobbyist for every congressman, every senator in Capitol Hill, and every member of the Supreme Court. By some estimates, 3. Pharmaceutical companies, the industry itself spends 3 times what the next largest lobbyist spends on lobbying. So this was an issue that people talked about, but nobody wanted to do anything because it was radioactive. They knew you couldn't get it by Congress. We now have a president who is a man of his word, who has the courage. President Trump was taking money from the pharmaceutical industry too. I think they gave you $100 million. But he can't be bought, unlike most of the politicians in this country. And he is standing here for the American people. I don't know what, there's writers like Lord Elizabeth Warren or Robert Reich who are saying that President Trump is on the side of the oligarchs. There has never been a president more willing to stand up to the oligarchs than President Donald Trump. And I'm very, very proud of you, Mr. President, for your courage, I'll say, because I don't want to be crude, your intestinal fortitude, your stiff spine, and your willingness to stand up for the American people. We have 4.2% of the world's population. Our country represents 75% of the revenues for pharmaceutical companies. We spend in our country $1,126 per capita on drugs. In Britain, they spend about $240. They spend 1/5 of what we do. And this is true across Europe. And the drug companies, Europeans, if you ask them, it made no sense what they were saying. Well, America has to pay for this innovation or it's not going to happen. What President Trump is saying to our European partners is you've got to raise the amount that you're paying for those drugs and pay for your share of the innovation. Oh, that the United States is no longer subsidizing that. If the Europeans raise the price of their drugs by just 20%, that is $10 trillion that can be spent on innovation, and the health of all people all across the globe is going to increase because we're going to have better products. So I'm just so grateful to be here today. I never thought that this would happen in my lifetime. I have a couple of kids who are Democrats, are big Bernie Sanders fans, and when I told them that this was going to happen, they had tears in their eyes because they thought this is never going to happen in our lifetime, and we finally have a president who's willing to stand up for the American people. Thank you, and Dr. Oz.
On average, we pay 3 times as much for the same prescriptions that they do in Europe, 5 to 7 times as much as other places internationally in the developed world. There are 3 lobbyists for every member of Congress and judge on the Supreme Court. It is an absurd system that has very little to do with healthcare and a lot to do with making money. A lot to do with stacking chips, and it ain't good for us. So, a little bit of flattery there from RFK Jr. to Trump, and you can think what you want about that. But the bulk of what he had to say is not only accurate, but bold and important. This doesn't immediately change anything, but it's a step in the right direction, and it provides a unique opportunity for Republicans and Democrats to actually get together and do what they are elected to do, to represent the people, to take care of the people, to meet the needs of their constituents. Trump executive order demands pharmaceutical industry slash drug prices, and I hope and pray that it becomes a reality. We have an article up about this very topic called Brought to You by Pfizer that you can find and read on our Substack at intheshedwithwes.substack.com. I encourage you to check it out. All right. There's the news that you need to know on Tuesday, May the 13th, in just under 20 minutes. My best shot at brevity. I gave it my best shot. Your 3 big stories. Trump administration has success on international stage. An American Pope impossible no more. Chicago native Cardinal Robert Prevost elected and announced as Pope Leo XIV. And Trump executive order demands pharmaceutical industry slash drug prices. We'll see you again tomorrow for Wednesday Morning Sports, our first edition of that. Have a wonderful day. Go be light and spread love. Bye-bye, bye-bye.